Steam Decks are awesome, but they look kind of boring. Just black plastic. No gamer RGB or fancy color choices. And sure, you could just put a sticker on, but that's not exactly the same, is it? Well, JSAUX sponsored this video to show you their new transparent cover series, a complete case swap kit for the Steam Deck that completely changes the aesthetics and adds a bunch of cool features that could make your deck run a little cooler. But is this case swap a simple job, or a nightmare surgery that isn't worth your time? This isn't the first item of this kind that I've featured on this channel. JSAUX has a line of backplates that come in a lot of colors, add some extra thermal protection, and are easily installable in literally 60 seconds. Now, replacing the front of the Steam Deck is not as simple. The way the Steam Deck is assembled, you need to pretty much 100% disassemble your entire Steam Deck to use the transparent cover series. And don't worry, I was pretty scared at first, but I went through the process entirely and found that it wasn't as difficult as I originally thought. Let's go over what you can expect during the installation, including the mistakes I made and how you can avoid them. The packaging for the kit was very impressive. To start off, you get a screw holder box with a clasp that will not only help you organize all your screws during installation, but also includes a bunch of extras for every single screw you could need during this operation. So you could lose every single screw that you remove from your Steam Deck, and this kit has replacements for all of them. So that is awesome to see. They also include every single tool you could need: a screwdriver, suction cup, spudger, plastic crowbar, guitar pick thing, and a bunch of other small things that will help. So you don't need to go out and buy a bunch of new tools to help you complete this one project. The only thing you need to provide is a hairdryer, which I think most people will have in their households or can at least borrow one from your mom, who you live with. On top of the tools, they also include these diagrams that show how everything goes back together after assembly, and this part holder that is specially sized to fit every piece that you're going to take out of your deck to keep it safe. This is such a nice touch because I feel like most people get super worried about losing parts or things getting damaged, so this is an easy way to stay organized and to keep all of your components safe. And of course, they were nice enough to include protection, but I'm American, so I'm just going to raw dog everything. JSAUX has a complete written instruction guide online that provides an incredibly detailed guideline from start to finish to get you going. If the instructions and photos aren't enough, they also offer a very high quality video of what the procedure looks like. There were some parts in the written instructions that didn't make sense to me, and then once I saw that part in the video, it made it really simple to follow. After putting your Steam Deck in battery saving mode, you can start unscrewing and unplugging everything. Following the instructions, the first 30 minutes are a back and forth of unscrew this, unplug that, so just take your time and stay organized. There are a lot of very small cables inside that you need to unplug. Go slow and make sure you don't rip them out of their sockets. Small cables like this can easily break if pulled with too much force. So if something seems like it isn't coming out, don't just start yanking, you barbarian. And after what feels like 100 screws and cables, you'll get to the point that caused me the most issue: removing the display. The 7-inch screen is held on using an adhesive backing, so the only way to remove it is to heat up the adhesive from the front and then carefully peel it off. The instructions said a hairdryer will suffice for this, but I'm a Chad and I used a heat gun instead. I kept setting it to very low settings because it is significantly stronger than a hairdryer and I didn't want to risk burning the front of the screen. I think I was being overly cautious though, because for 30 minutes I would just do 1 to 2 minutes bursts of applying heat to the outside of the screen, but it just wouldn't budge. I eventually got tired and cranked the heat gun up and just went for it, and then it easily came off. So when you get to this part, don't be afraid to apply a little more heat. Just keep it moving and you should be able to avoid any damage. Once the screen is out, I feel like the hard part is over. I just continued removing things piece by piece until I had a completely empty shell. Then I had to reverse the process. The kit uses special adhesive strips to reapply the screen to the new cover, with plenty to spare in case you make any mistakes. Then you just start screwing things back in, plugging in all the cables, and boom, there you go. Case swap is complete. It really was not as difficult as I originally thought. Just a little tedious because you have to go back and forth reading every single step. But in terms of difficulty, not that bad. Now that doesn't mean I didn't make some mistakes, because I surely did. Before you install the screen onto the new chassis, the instructions say you need to remove the old adhesive from the screen. And because it's kind of a sensitive part, they recommend using a light amount of alcohol to help, and using one of those plastic tools to remove it. But of course, I did not listen to that. The glue was applied in a flat line, so I thought I could just use my trusty handy X-Acto knife to scrape under the bottom to remove it all at once. This did work in theory, but the knife actually scratched the paint that is on this part of the bezel and is now visible on the outside. I'm sure I could have just used a black marker to cover these up, but I kinda like it because it's giving off Casey Neistat vibes. So when you clean the adhesive, don't use anything sharp and don't use too much pressure. There's also a few times where I was so focused on putting in screws that I didn't realize that I was covering up a cable that needed to be plugged in later. So then I had to unscrew it, expose the cable, and then screw it back in. So when you are screwing everything back in, please take note of where your cables are and make sure they don't get locked under any of the PCB. I got the device booted up on the first try, and that was super exciting. but it wasn't smooth sailing for too long. I booted up Lethal League Blaze and it was running at an incredibly low frame rate. This game's usually a locked 60 FPS, but it was just horribly slow and unplayable. I was racking my brain to try to figure out why the Steam Deck would boot and play games, but the performance was horrible. Then I realized the fan wasn't on. I forgot to plug it in. It was a simple enough fix, but small mistakes like that could have lasting effects on your Steam Deck. So triple check the instructions during your assembly and make sure you don't miss any screws or cables. But once the fan was plugged back in, everything was complete. The Steam Deck looked amazing, and I was able to apply the new backplate as well. This comes with the kit in matching colors, but offers a few more benefits outside of just looks. There are more vents for the heat to exhaust from the fan, and a thermal pad that is applied to outside of your chip's heatsink, which in theory should help dissipate some of the heat from your Steam Deck. I can say I do notice less heat on my hands when playing the device for an extended period of time. The color I received is the brown transparent case, but it also comes in a crystal clear version and something that is very reminiscent of atomic purple from the old Nintendo handhelds. I love these transparent types of cases and they really remind me of the late 90s and early 2000s. JSAUX also wanted me to give some feedback on everything so they could know what to improve. Now the company is not headquartered in an English speaking country, so I expected some English errors here and there, but I'd say for the most part, the written instruction guide is pretty good and easy to understand. There's only one problem. You see this? What would you call that? I think a lot of people can recognize what this is when they see it, but might not be able to put a name to it. Well, in American English at least, this would be called something along the lines of silicone conductive rubber pads. Rubber pads would be acceptable. Silicone pad would also be okay. Do you know what they called this in the instructions? Glue. They called it glue. So it will say things like, install the glue, which can be a little confusing because later in the installation you actually do install adhesive glue to put the screen onto the new shell. So just know when the instructions say glue, they actually mean these. Let me know in the comments, is this called glue in your country? I'd really love to see where they got that from. Another feedback suggestion would be to simply have a narrator read the instructions over the video guide. Right now you kind of have to go back and forth between the written instructions and the video, but I know for me, I would have just liked the instructions to be read in the video while they are performing the installation so I could just follow along. That small change may have allowed me to complete the installation in half as much time. I understand you might not have anyone on staff that can speak confidently on video, but guys, I'm right here. Hit me up. I'd be glad to do voiceover work for your video. But as for the actual kit, the hardware, and the packaging, it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty blown away by the premium feel of the kit and all the extra little touches applied. I feel like JSAUX has provided everything needed for any novice to complete this mod with little effort. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide if doing a shell swap is worth your time, but I really enjoy the look of it, and it has a way more premium look than just a simple decal could ever provide. If you are considering doing something like this and you've never modded anything before, I really recommend giving it a shot. This is a really simple project that could be completed in just a few hours and would make your Steam Deck stand out in a crowd. If you'd like to pick up the kit for yourself, I'll drop a link in the description. JSAUX offers worldwide free shipping on this product if you order from their website, and use code JASON, J-A-S-O-N, to get a discount on your order. Thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if it brought value to you, and be sure to subscribe for more Steam Deck and technology content. My name is Jason. Thanks for watching.